Well, there's been rumors that they might go into 3D or something like that, and 3D glasses for a console, or it's the idea is that they're going to do something.
Virtual Boy was awesome, right?
I think the Power Glove's coming back.
But you never know where it's going to go, and it's like they've even with Wii. There's talk. Will Wii HD? Do you think we see that in the next year or two? Gai, do they need to do that?
Based on current sales and lack of availability at retail, no. I don't even think they're going to introduce a new DS. They're completely unthreatened. Historically, when Nintendo's been market dominant, they've extended the life of their system, for a long, long time. It takes them a long time to introduce new products. And, maybe this whole disruption kick they're on, maybe they'll say, hey, we need to disrupt ourselves.
Right.
But right now, I can't really see what's super meaningful that they would need to do on the DS that they can't do right now, such that they would need to revamp the hardware. I still think that between them and third parties, there's still things they haven't done on the DS.
Yeah.
I don't know what those things are, but when you look at Dragon Sword, Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword, for instance, that proved that you could do, action using the stylus and have it be engaging. I talked last year about Phantom Hourglass and those controls and things that could be done with that. So I think they still haven't scratched the surface.
Guitar Hero and what they're doing with that, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's like hardware that they've been minting profits on for years. So there's no reason for Nintendo to shift its stride. I think it's more likely that, within the next 12 months, we'll see something new on the peripheral front for the Wii.
Any thoughts on what that peripheral is? Where does Miyamoto go next?
For the Wii, I've joked before that essentially the Wii Remote is the reinvention of the Power Glove, and the balance board is the reinvention of the Power Pad. So we haven't seen Rob reinvented yet. But I think one thing we haven't talked about that a lot of people are wondering about for the Wii in this holiday is Animal Crossing. It's sort of it stands out aside from Pikmin as the one major franchise, and Animal Crossing is a huge franchise for Nintendo, that we haven't heard much about, but that all indications point to them wanting to reintroduce Animal Crossing.
Coming this holiday season, do you think?
There's certainly the room there for them to release that, so I think it would be a safe bet that we would hear something about Animal Crossing. And the question is, how would they implement that?
What I'm hearing on Animal Crossing, though, is that it's going to have a strong communication element.
Right.
In the next
game.
Online? Yeah.
Right. And they called it a communication game when they first introduced it. It just makes a lot of sense.
I see a camera coming. I don't know if they'd want to do it because they're so safety oriented, so worried about security, but it would fit well with the Wii, and you could do a lot of interesting things.
And it would be tied to probably some really inventive piece of software.
Yeah.
You'd interact with. It wouldn't just be a camera for the sake of a webcam.
Right.
So what about third parties, though? You mentioned in a previous segment, Gai, the disappointing sales of Boom Blocks, I think so far, just over 60,000 units. Third parties still haven't seemed to really crack the code on what it takes to sell a successful game for the Wii. Brian, what do they have to do? Is it
more Carnival games? I think.
Is it think almost dumber and simpler games? Is that the type of philosophy these companies need? They're overthinking.
I don't. That might simplify it too much, but I think on some level that is the issue. That initially what you saw were look at Manhunt. They tried to come up with something where they were following the same formula and didn't really get that the Wii's not the same.
That's what I worry about, a game like, Mad World or something, which, looks really interesting and different, but it's like, are people, people rather play the lawnmower game or something like that.
I think that, look, you talk about third-party sales on the Wii, and yes, a lot of third parties are struggling. I would even go back to pointing out that first party, you had a lot of games Nintendo published that haven't sold that well. Again, the Battalion Wars and the Fire Emblems, but Guitar Hero has sold great there. And I think that if publishers just ruthlessly look at what has the broadest appeal and what has mass appeal, which by and large isn't most video games.
Wii Cheer going to be a big hit then, Totilo?
Cheerleader games, I would bet on that more than I'd bet on, Boom Blocks was fun, but it's a game about throwing things into blocks, which yes is like something that you probably love doing when you're 4 years old, but I just don't know that translates to broad video game appeal. Until we see these really broad appeal games failing, I don't think we can say that there's something innately about third-party games can't sell. Just third-party games of a certain type.
But aren't third-party games doing a lot better on the Xbox 360?
Yes, but it's third-party games of a certain hardcore type that, again, have proven to sell well. I haven't seen a game that is executed as well on the Wii as it is on other systems that has hardcore appeal. It's selling both. In other words, Call of Duty, 4. It wasn't on the Wii, but if it was on the Wii, I wouldn't have expected it to have sold that well. The EA Medal of Honor game didn't sell that well because if you're looking for a hardcore first-person shooter...
It needs to be differentiated for the Wii, is what you're saying?
First-person shooters sell great on systems that play first-person shooters great. Minigame compilations, that are like things like Carnival games, sell great on systems where that audience is. And so Guitar Heroes and Rock Bands, or at least Guitar Hero sells well by the time this Air's Rock Band will likely have sold well on the Wii as well. You know,
An MTV
broad
product, of
ideas.
course.
We are on an MTV show, aren't we?
No, but does Reggie have no problems then, guys?
Not yet.
It's someone else's problem right now. I mean, for him, it's really just it's inventory management at this point. It's just sort of keeping enough hardware on store shelves.
I gotta interrupt. Do you really buy that? Do you think that they've had this much time to look at their sales, which have not spiked, they've been steady, and they still can't figure out how to get the consoles on the shelves?
I don't think it's a matter of not figuring. Exactly. It's
They
sort
wanna
of
spend
like
extra money.
There's a choke point.
Exactly.
think
It's
there's
sort
a
of
choke
like,
point
why
somewhere?
take it up? I mean, the bottom could drop out of it tomorrow. They want to be
it's silver,
responsible about bringing it up,
Right.
and it has the added benefit of stoking the sense that this is still the Cabbage Patch. It's still the Tamagotchi. You want it, but you can't find it. So when you do get your hands on it, you're grateful.
Yeah.
But we are grateful for Nintendo.
I think the two problems he has is one is the potential building resentment of third parties because they're not finding the success that they would want, and we could see Sony
revolt?
and Microsoft. Well, we saw publishers
in the street.
we saw publishers get fed up with Nintendo before in previous generations, and Sony in
Do you think
particular
he
be able
cares?
to capitalize on that. Does he care? No, but I mean, in terms of a problem, well, he probably does care somewhat, right? But I mean, in terms of a problem, I think that could be something that we see a shift toward and could strengthen one of his competitors.
Right.
And the sales of Smash Bros. Have shown that hardcore gamers will buy Wii games if Wii games appeal to them.
The well might be dry.
Well, there's clearly like money that might be left on the table if Nintendo cannot figure out how to make a Wii game that hardcore gamers really care about.
Reggie says it's going to be there this holiday season. You got to trust him, Steve. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk more about the third parties. What is EA, Ubisoft, Activision, Sega, all these guys? What do they have planned for E3? We're going to give you our thoughts on that and pick the game that we think is going to be the big hit of E3. That's coming up next time right here in the bonus round.
Next time, it's all about third-party games in the bonus round. EA, Ubisoft, Activision, and more. Which companies will surprise us and which will disappoint at E3?
I think that Mad World is going to be amazing. I like to see how the art style, the way it looks is just unbelievable.
And what will happen in the war between Rock Band and Guitar Hero?
Time is limited in terms of how long there can be this many different music games competing with each other.
Find out next week when the bonus round counts down to E3 2008.
Bonus round.